Welcome to Beyond the Coverage. I'm Chris Horner. This is the 2021 Vuelta first rest day breakdown. Now let's go back because we've done 9 stages. Let's go back to stage 9. I seen in the comments a lot of people put in there that Ineos' tactics were not smart on yesterday's stage. I'm here to put that to rest. Their tactics, at least all the way to the last final climb, but the tactics at 70 kilometers to go, those were fantastic tactics. That is the only card that they can play. When you look at the first summit and the second summit during the first week of the Vuelta, where Jumbo-Visma's Primož Roglič was isolated, Sepp Kuss dropped, Steven Kruijswijk dropped early on those first 2 summit stages. Then they went pretty decent on the third summit finish where Steven Kruijswijk was good. Sepp Kuss was in that front break, but still got dropped and didn't win that stage. Let me remind you. So now let's flash to yesterday's stage, and we're talking Ineos. 12 riders going up the road. We still have 75 kilometers to go in the race. Ineos get on the front, and they're trying to drive it. Now, this is a fantastic tactic because when you have seen Jumbo-Visma already getting dropped early in the stages, now you want to isolate Primož Roglič. This gives them 70 kilometers to try to isolate them, but they really need to do it by the summit of this climb. They're on a 29-kilometer climb. Ineos is halfway up it, and now they're driving on the front, and they're trying to get rid of every domestique Primož Roglič has. If they can do that. That's a big if. Remember, you're talking about a very, very strong team with excellent climbers, but they've been a little iffy, but you have an excellent Primož Roglič. So, if Ineos can get on the front and drive it and drop all of the Jumbo-Visma guys minus Primož Roglič, we all know he's not going to get dropped this early into the stage. But if they can drop all of his domestiques, once they get over the climb, you have about 55 kilometers to go, followed by a descent. At that point in time, if Primož Roglič is isolated down to 1 domestique or no domestiques is what Ineos is really hoping for, their 3 leaders, Richard Carapaz, Adam Yates, and of course Egan Bernal can start attacking Primož Roglič with other GC favorites. Now that didn't happen. And then you see Ineos shut it down with 40 kilometers still to go in the stage. This is where you know they're intelligent and the director in the car is using the right tactics on the stage. They saw it wasn't working. They hit the abort button. Now, it's hard to hit the abort button, right? You guys know at home, when you start a project, the project gets out of hand, you start throwing more and more money at it, and you start thinking, wow, I got this much money in it, I just need to finish the project. But had you started that project to begin with and you said, hey, this is going to cost thousands of dollars, or you thought it was going to cost $1,000, but you just keep throwing money at it, next thing you know, you're $5,000 into a project just because you already spent $1,500 to begin with. Now, so that's what I mean. It's hard to hit the abort button. So anytime you've had projects like that, I had an old Mustang, took it over to the garage, dropped it off, thought I was going to spend, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 to fix it up. It turned out to be a lot more than that. And once it got over $50,000, I was already in debt in the car, and then I just didn't want to hit the abort button when I probably should have, because that car cost a lot of money when it was said and done. Now, go back to stage 9, 40 kilometers to go. Ineos have already put in a lot of effort into trying to drop the Jumbo-Visma guys. It didn't work, and they're smart enough to hit the abort button. They do. Jumbo-Visma get on the front. Now remember, when Jumbo-Visma gets on the front, it's only 40 kilometers to go, and they only need to get Primož Roglič into the last 13 kilometers with 2 riders. So they do that. They still lose time on Damiano Caruso. Once the climb starts, this is where things get tricky. Egan Bernal needs to say at this point in time to Adam Yates, how exactly do I think I feel? I feel fantastic. I can win this stage. I can drop Primož Roglič. Or I'm not so good. You do your race. I'll do my race, and we'll go from there. If that's the case, the tactics with Adam Yates attacking the first attack, fantastic. No problem. You saw him go. He was delivering a decisive attack on Primož Roglič and had a gap. Sepp Kuss followed. That was a knucklehead move because he's coming off the wheel anyways. Lopez Movistar is up there with Adam Yates. It's a fantastic move at this point in time. Primož Roglič jumps across. Once he gets there, Adam Yates realizes it's no longer a good move, and he hits the abort button and shuts it down. Fantastic tactic, again, by Ineos. Now, I saw some other videos out there where guys had talked about, well, Carapaz should have got on the front and closed it for Egan Bernal. Carapaz couldn't do anything. He was already over his head and sinking on the last climb. There's no way for him to salvage. There's no way for him to help Egan Bernal in yesterday's final summit climb. So there's nothing Carapaz can do. You can't talk bad about those tactics. If you're no good, you're no good. That's just the way it is. Now at the finish, this gets a little tricky because Adam Yates keeps attacking. At that point in time, once he sees how good Primoz Roglic is, he can switch to different tactics and speak a little bit with Egan Bernal, because with each attack that Adam Yates is doing, it's putting some nails into Egan Bernal's legs trying to follow. So what they could have done at that point in time is just said, clearly we're not better than Primoz Roglic. Let's try to stay with Primoz Roglic and try to win the Vuelta later on in the following last 2 weeks. That's the only tactical mistake I saw them make on yesterday's stage. After you see Primoz Roglic is really good, Egan Bernal suffering just to follow, that's the point in time when you say, hey, we need to slow this race down. Just bring it back. Let's slow it down. Let's keep Egan Bernal up there on GC. Instead, Adam Yates kept trying to attack. Clearly, he has good legs, and he's their best rider on stage 9. I thought he's the best rider once we finish stage 1 time trial. But Adam Yates, keep attacking. That's just going to cost Egan Bernal time. It did. It cost Adam Yates time, and I would have liked to seen them just shut it down at the finish. But that is a hard call to make at that point in time in the stage when you're already maximum at 100%. So it's by no means a knucklehead move. I still like the tactic. I'm just not one that I was favorable with, because if you keep Egan Bernal there and Adam Yates there, you do damage control, keep the pace slower. All of a sudden, Carapaz, who lost, 8-9 minutes on yesterday's stage, if it's not so fast at the front, because you know Primoz Roglic isn't going to keep it going fast. So if nobody else keeps it going fast, now Carapaz, who's getting dropped the whole way up that climb, he's a little bit closer. He loses 2 or 4 minutes at the top. He's still up there on GC. Now looking forward to the next 2 weeks here at the Vuelta, what's to come. Ineos clearly are not the favorite here to win this Vuelta. Start watching Carapaz trying to go for stage wins, possibly trying to get himself back up in the top 10 and hope his legs come better for later. Bahrain victorious. Jack Haig's got to be their Vuelta leader. He's riding fantastic, but they have so many strong hitters. They're going to be attacking early too, so look for Ineos to latch with them. Movistar now comes into the new Ineos role of having to be the real attackers on the final climb if they want to win this Vuelta. So Jumbo-Visma now are going to start hitting their race board. They're going to scratch off Ineos up there as the big favorites on the last climb, and they're going to really start looking at Enric Mas and Lopez. Certainly, Enric Mas is flying. We're only talking about half a minute behind Primoz Roglic, but with the time trial, Primoz Roglic easily has about a minute more gap on everybody on the general classification. But be certain, Jumbo-Visma will be switching their tactics from Ineos not being the dangerous role anymore to what is Movistar doing first, then what is Bahrain Victorious going to do, and now what is Egan Bernal and Adam Yates is going to do. If I'm Jumbo-Visma, though, I am keeping a close eye on Adam Yates because he looks fabulous. Yesterday clearly could have been there with Enric Mas and Primoz Roglic at the finish of yesterday's stage if he had raced tactically a little bit smarter up that last climb. But again, as a team, Ineos were fabulous on yesterday's stage, and this next 2 weeks, let's hope for excitement stages, not for me personally. I just enjoy breaking down the races. But let's hope for us, excitement-wise, Jumbo-Visma run into a little bit of problems with their domestiques, and possibly Roglic is isolated a little bit more on these final climbs. But Sepp Kuss, his legs are coming good. Tactics weren't great yesterday, but his legs were great yesterday. Steven Kruijswijk did a great job of doing the first half of the last climb. So Jumbo-Visma need to be a little bit weak in order for us to see a real battle against Primoz Roglic in these next 2 weeks at the Vuelta. Hope you guys like Beyond the Coverage. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you real soon. Oh, and by the way, I finally sold that Mustang.